Welcome to my show. I wanted to say thank you and welcome for our live recording today. I didn't quite get in a couple of very important points I wanted to talk about, which were the most important points about our video yesterday with regards to moving into new energy, understanding the soul's blueprint and why you manifest what you manifest and who you are as a grand soul, as well as the importance of the 3 E's and how those 3 create new gift skills and understandings about who you are within the soul's paradigm of all that is, of Source Creator, the image of Mother, Father, God, Source Creator, God. Allowing yourself new descriptions and new definitions and new stories and new imaginings and new plays and new stories and new songs of what the Holy Creator is to you. The highest version of you as Source Creator, the highest version. Hello, sweetheart. Glad to have you with us. We're going to do something fun today. I wanted to get a couple of really important points in yesterday that we forgot to mention about the activations of soul gifts, our celestial becoming, which is how I kind of feel, because it's reminding me of all the activations that I've had have been, I'm going to say it with as much respect and regard and healing for ourselves as being human. But when you're a hybrid and a crystal and an indigo and all of those things that we've discovered as being very sensitive within a world that's not so sensitive, and why we've come and how we've come at the seeds of sensitivity and the seeds of honoring it that we have been, we kind of look at ourselves as this is the being that we've manifested ourselves to be in all of the woundings in our journey, and we forget that we're always going to be the sacred child, and what persona do we envision of ourselves, which is sometimes, often than not, the shadow, and how we have been changed by creation, how we've been changed by those that we've contracted with quite purposefully, because those people and those energies and those opposites, quantumly, I suggest those that are really having a tough time with karma and the ideas of karma and the theories of karma because of old ideologies and religious, church and state. I would suggest watching a lot about quantum energy, about what you put in is what you get out. There is a quantum return on everything in the universe. You as a spinning molecule, you as a spinning atom, you as an energetic experience, you're always going to be having a return of whatever it is you're emulating. So I suggest those that are really having a challenge with church and state ideologies, with understanding karma because of old church and state belief systems that you've had and what you've been taught and told and shown. Watch as much quantum theory as you can. This is the quantum universe. It is all that is returning to you based on who you are as a vibration and what you choose to believe. And so it's been very fun that these comics that I've had in that really fun day, they allow me to see different storylines, because as we said, as I'm a conduit, I can read into any picture, any image of a matter, whether it's a tree or a rock or anything, and I can visualize and I can bring forward a story that has to be relatable to the collective at the time, or anybody that's sitting before me. There is vibrational stories through which I can pull from. And so these pictures and these images of the comics are allowing me to see just given different ideas on who we are as souls, the grander aspect of souls, how we see ourselves as the God within the God at any given moment, how our environments, the people we've had contracts with, have shaped who we are. And that's not saying that that's meant to be true in all ways, because as you become more self-actualized, as you become more self-knowing, and as you have a clearer sense of self, the people around you are not necessarily so important to define, shape who you are, because you end up standing in more of who you are through time. You end up releasing those ideologies of what you've been taught and told and shown around you, and you choose not to be the versions of what you're being shown. And because of a lot of the human programs of control and domination, specifically a lot of the Epstein-like programs, MK Ultra, they wanted us to be in energies of defensiveness, in so much so that we become really demonized. A lot of the project and a lot of the agendas were to enforce us to stay and disconnect from our spirit itself. Being that we are, wanting to journey and traverse throughout the universe as the gentle soul that we are, as all source, we come against these experiences and situations. We're kind of plopped on a planet, if you will, which is how I've felt many times, and I've said it in my radio shows, as this vibrational being that was plopped here into dysfunctional families, into dysfunctional experiences, having to navigate my way around it. And being a conduit, it's not like you're only getting the situation of household that you're in, but as a conduit, as a sensitive, as an indigo, as a crystal, I see the many threads. I see the many threads of the story, if you will. So it's not just this one family story I see. I feel and see and sense all of it. So it's very challenging for someone that has a conduit type of potential to see and to feel and read different threads of energy of any given thing put before me. But I have to kind of sort it out, and what do those threads mean to me, and who am I within it? And that is a very special gift I have, and I've come to appreciate it and honor it and value it, because there's very few of me on the planet. And so I'm learning to look at the various aspects of the shadow and what I've as the defensiveness aspects of myself, those aspects that turn and put a cloak around myself so that I'm not seen as a creative genius that I am. I've only tapped into a minor percentage of my creative gifts, and there's so much more that I'm here to tap into, to awaken the various codes within the earth, awaken the various codes within the grids, awaken the various codes of the ancestors that have left for me in many timelines before. So I'm going to try and talk as much as I can. So Claudio, if you can remind me, there is a vision I want to talk about. We're going to talk about visions today, and the 3 E's and why it's so important. We're just going to do a spin-off from yesterday. So Cluedo, if you can remind me, there's a vision I want to tap into later. And hopefully I won't forget. So if you can remind me of the infinite parallel versions of Earth that we each manifest based on our vibration. And so I had a vision of that, and I wanted to bring that forward because it's very similar to the micro-macro, as to this version of this boy that has been traversing throughout the universe as the source being of itself, but it's gone into an earth experience where it's had to manifest certain versions of itself that it's not quite comfortable looking at anymore. And this is a good perspective of the divine masculine when they're looking at and doing Ascension daily pathwork. Who are you in this day? And I want to bring up the ideologies of divine masculines for their healing and what true power is. Because this person here that is the genius, the source creator, the mother and the father projection that's gone about traversing the galaxy, traversing the star systems, and it's been assigned as a mission to come to a planet that has not been so hospitable. It's not been so unconditional. It hasn't been so dynamically loving in all of its aspects, and it's had to present an aspect of itself that is not comfortable looking at anymore. It's been taught fallacies, it's been taught misjudgments and misguidances about what true power is. In every little boy's mind, they're taught through social, dynamic, familial, lineage, certain projections and certain ideologies and certain belief systems that are not truly what power is. We've never really talked about true power. I've talked about it on my show, on what true power is and why it is what it is. But in a higher vibrational dimensional way, can we restate and relearn and reactivate and remember who we are as divine power? And it's not really what we were taught, told, and shown in what we've called the entertainment industry, and we're getting rid of that word, and it's now a field of operation of light and harmonics, which opens us up to a far more infinite dynamic of what true power and true potential is. And it is always creativity. It is always creativity. And how does creativity begin? It begins as wisdom through light. So the more light wisdom that we have, the infinite more creative genius that we are. And that is true power, because it doesn't take anything to take a gun and blast anything away. That's not true power. It's not true power to go and beat the hell out of somebody. That's not true power. True power is the ability to create and the ability to modify any situation, no matter how tense and structured it is, as Commander Ashtar has been teaching me over the many, many years. For the healing that is required on our planet for divine masculines to absolutely heal the divine masculine woundings and to understand the divine feminine importance and the divine feminine rebalancing and intuitive wisdoms that divine feminine is here to offer, and how to balance those energies within yourself. Because oftentimes the children are looking at what they've been shown as the world as it is, whether it's a 3D system, church and state, and they're not necessarily matching vibration, and they're looking at it as anything what I've wanted for my life. So how do I go about rewriting it? This is not what I see power to be. It's not what I see the ideology of me as being a true man. It's not me and my masculine energy. This is not what I see as a 5D leader, because this is not what a 5D leader looks like. A 5D leader is what I would imagine Commander Ashtar. He's one of the most powerful men in the universe. Thank you, Commander Ashtar. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Commander Ashtar. And Commander Ashtar is one of the most gentle souls of patience and sitting back and harmonizing and knowing that every soul within the soul's collective of his federations or his ships or his planets, wherever he visits, whenever his mission is that day, is to offer the inclusivity of all before him and have have each honor their own unique gifts in their true power of themselves, to come through and be that rainbow experience of collective true power and collective unity and collective gathering of oneness. And it's never ever the image, and it's never ever the ideologies, and it's never ever the gun power or the money power or the roles that we have within society, which is what we've been taught and told for 5,000 years. And even the discrimination of Jesus's image and Jesus's energy of when he presented himself among church, and why he was so discriminated is because he did not follow in line of what their ideologies that were taught through the discriminations of what God was, what the belief of God was, what the belief of the scriptures of God was. And Jesus spoke completely outside of the box. Jesus presented completely outside of the box. He presented more of the balanced nature of what Source Creator is through the science and through the honoring that is light wisdom. Jesus was that perfect representation of balance. Jesus was that perfect representation of who we are within creation, not just upon a planet that's been given very basic scriptures to understand how we move about social life, if you will. But that social life wanted him to be dogmatically pressed within the boxes and the confines of its church and its state and its words and its ideologies and its Bible scriptures, and it wanted to control. And that's the fallacy of what true power has been boxed in, if you will. It's been played in, it's been given as gifts, if you will, to every boy and girl on the planet as to what is true power. And it's been boxed within having to control and dominate the sense of self within, to overpower any situation to make it what you want it to be. And that's not true power. True power is not domination to make others believe what you want them to believe. True power is not the domination of another against yourself, or the domination of satanic societies that use misguidances and misinformations, and they warp scriptures of the Bible to make their narratives fit. That is not true power at all. That is simply just manipulation. That's being a trickster. It's being a very good trickster. It's not true power. True power is the inclusivity of all that we are as Metatronic light, understanding that all has its place, but you can pull from a deeper, higher space of infinite wisdoms, of infinite light, of infinite planets, of infinite potentiality, and therefore create thus then from the creative genius. That is true power. Because you're not creating it from... You're not creating your reality that you see before you now. This reflection is what this boy was told is true power. And he's looking at this going, that's a shadow aspect, actually, because there's other planets that this being was absolutely just go out and dominate and kill whatever got in your way, whatever was threatening you, whether that made you feel triggered. And if somebody's really, really wounded, they're going to get triggered at, somebody walking outside with a cupcake that is a different color ice cream or a different color icing than that person wanted. I mean, anything can threaten somebody that's imbalanced. So it's all relevant, and it's all relative to where you are in the state of being of who you are, in your own wholeness and standing in your own power. So this person, this boy, is saying, well, I've done enough learning, I've done enough healing. This isn't what true power is to me anymore. I'm far more intelligent than this, because I don't need to blow people away to feel the power of who I am within me. And what is that anyways? It's not true power if you're going to carry the karma of that person's death, because you had no right to take that person from this planet or from the planet or all creation, simply because you felt threatened in your insecurities, because you had a misinformation, you were misguided on what true power was. So everybody on the planet has to now look at all of the aspects of who we are, what we exist within, and what's going on within us. Is this a true representation of who this person now sees within itself and it within itself? And remember, who are you as source, and who is source back at you? When you're looking and doing your ascension pathwork, you can look at such ideologies like the idea for your healing, for divine masculine, for the example of power, for the example of a divine masculine feeling quite centered and balanced in being in their divine feminine energy as Jesus was. And when Jesus came to speak as he was as a balance, it triggered a lot of men that were only purely living in their divine masculine energy. They didn't understand his speech. His speech was fluid in the coding of pure balance and pure unconditional love for the light that he spoke. He spoke light. He spoke light language. He spoke codes of uniformity. He spoke codes of unity and love and inclusivity. And he was offering such a higher vibrational speech that it triggered those that were in front of him, because they saw their version of God looking quite different. Their version of the scriptures quite differently, and they discriminated because he wasn't their picture, he wasn't their box. And so We come forward as masters through every time period, and we see ourselves, and our crystal children and the indigo children are showing this to us now. Just as I am a divine aspect of the prophet, I'm the divine aspect of the Jesus, I'm the divine aspect of the Messiah. Because here the world has presented those that are Messiah, those that are intelligent, those that are supposedly what we've called creative geniuses and what we've called a higher intelligence. But the higher intelligence, ways of looking at it and how it's been conformed on our planet is looking at book intelligence, not looking at emotional intelligence, not looking at vibrational intelligence, not looking at multidimensional intelligence. And because we're multidimensional beings, most of us as crystal and indigo children, they don't even have tests on our planet because they're not multidimensional. So it would be impossible to test people like us. Our vibrational intelligence comes from seeing all the threads that are in between. If you drop us in a family, I can feel the infinite number of threads within that family, and then I'm here to sort out and navigate which thread feels best for me so that I can start emanating my light without, so that I'm not being lost and I'm not being moved in between everybody else's vibrational thread. And this is what I wanted to say, is that if these are vibrational threads of dimension, there's an earth experience on every one of these dimensions. And so depending on where we're vibrating at the moment, this reflection of whatever earth is on that vibrational thread is going to be showing it back at us. So this little boy is looking right now and saying, well, I've traversed the universe quite deeply and I've gone to many planets, and ideologies of power are quite different. And this is where our starseed children are going to come forward to us and give us much teaching. And this is what I am as a starseed child, coming forward to give those of higher generations, of longer generations, of older generations, higher ideologies of who we truly are as source creator, what exists within us as source creator, and what we exist within as the greater source creator. Because I'm here to challenge everybody to say, what is these versions of God and who are we as God? When I say God, when I talk about my videos and I say God is going to offer you offerings of karma. And what does that karma mean? It just means that it's the reflection of your godliness, sending it back to you on the energies and the vibrations that you're emulating out to creation, because it's your godliness. There is the God, the one creator, and that higher aspect of God, the 13th dimension of God, is showing you these are your vibrations within the whole omnipresent, because you're one with the all. There is never any separation. It's always you. And God knows every aspect of you. So when I say God's going to offer you a reflection of karma back to you so you can determine for yourself, where is my vibration? Is this a true depiction of what power means to me now? And the higher intelligent you are, say, no, I'd rather create something and navigate my way in and around those bullying situations where you're actually hurting and harming somebody. That's never true power. That's just being, a belligerent. Belligerence means you have absolutely no conscience or care to the damage you're doing to another, and you're just acting belligerently. You're putting you're disconnecting from the human experience. You're disconnecting from the harm that you're doing. You're disconnecting from the power of your word. You're disconnecting from the power that you have to hurt and harm someone because it's threatening you, because you have an insecurity you haven't dealt with. That doesn't mean you're powerful. It just means you haven't learned how to balance your emotions. And because we're moving into 5D, where you're actually going to be manifesting from thought, it's very important that we become higher evolved, we become higher intelligent as to the perspectives and the ideologies of everything that we look at every day. Whether this is a divine feminine, and she's looking at, say, well, where is the divine feminine leadership in our collective? And why can't divine feminine leadership be a perfect balance of divine masculine energies and divine feminine energies? And she can still be her goddess. She can still be the one that gives immediate healing. She can still be the one that gives nurturance and love and intelligence and tells beautiful stories. She's an orator, she's a storyteller, she's a singer, she's a songstress, she's a goddess, she's all of these wonderful things. Where is the divine feminine in our collective? So where are the projections of the micro macro of the allness that we each have higher intelligent potentials every day to look at, to reflect and observe? And I'm just giving this as one example. Why the 3 E's are so important and why the daily ascension pathwork is so important, because right now across our entire nation, across our entire globe, we see the problems that we have manifested from discrimination. How have the ideologies of church and state about what the God is within us and how can we start redefining it? It's up to you, and it's up to you and your higher self to go within and have that spiritual, evolutionary, daily devotion for yourself. There's nothing more important on our planet right now than spiritual evolution. We will not advance beyond our diseases. We will not advance beyond our poverty. We will not advance beyond the damages we've done to Gaia until we spiritually evolve. And spiritually evolving means that in every moment there is a reflection back from the omnipresent, no matter what that omnipresent is reflecting to you. What is it showing you as to the allness that you are, what you exist within, and what's going on within you? I'm doing this as an ideology example of this boy that is a very divine starseed that traverses throughout the multiverse and has been given a mission on a planet where it's been taught, told, and shown about what power is not his true ideology anymore. And this is where a lot of the youth nowadays, the younger youth, are looking at the ideologies within the collective of church and state. What they're looking at is not who they are. And there's a lot of these beautiful star seeds that are coming forward to rewrite things. And it's not that we're strange or weird, and it's not that we're any different than anybody else. We just can see things on a multidimensional way, that there's higher vibrational things that we can see and do. We don't have to follow church and state boxes that are not necessarily who we are, because it's very barbaric. It's very 2D. It's very black and white, and it's not necessarily who we are as higher vibrational intentional beings that can create infinite potentials. There's no walls, there's no ceilings. So each and every one of us has that true sense of self where we're saying, is this really truly what power looks like to me? That's not who I want to be. That's not who I am. And so empower the children to look at whatever vibration it is that they're wanting to seek within themselves, because they're higher vibrational intelligent beings, and they're not going to be mind scraped, or they're not going to be bullied, and they're not going to be brainwashed, and they're not going to be controlled, and they're not going to be all of these things that have been going on within our modern society since the 1950s, since all of these programs and agendas have been the scraping of higher intelligence to make them into, kind of weapons, which is what the 1950s Eisenhower and the whole Project Stargate was all about. There was these breaches of contracts where we were meant to build a bridge of uniformity and unity with our celestial star beings, and that was one of my first missions, was back in the 1950s when I landed here as a celestial, as an Arcturian, and the Americans breached that contract, and it was supposed to be a contract where we were working together to understand one another and build bridges of communication, but the U.S. government chose not to, and they are in the Eisenhower files. This is my own life experience, and I'm bringing forward this as an intuitive story, because I had harmonized that soul fragment. If you go back on my videos, there's a video, I can't remember what the name of it is, but I've harmonized that soul fragment of that 1950s lifetime, and that soul fragment came and showed me the visions and the images of that Arcturian being that they had on the Area 51 table, and they were extracting its DNA, which happens to be part of my DNA that I have in this body, the divine feminine body, along with other celestial and royal DNA that is also my lineage. And it's all part of the plan. The God was overseeing every part of it, and God and the celestial teams had to update and human, because humans had done a lot of, they're not very elegant with their DNA replication process. So there was a lot of mistakes done in the replication process, which I have been altered and fixed and enhanced through the celestial teams, because the celestial teams are about 1 billion years, if we could say cycles, if you will, a bit more advanced in our medicine and our technology, without using, cutting devices or anything like that. The higher celestials use light, and they use sound. They're very adept with DNA and the replication process. And they also use their spiritual laws in higher order when they're ever doing any type of experience like cloning, because they've learned from many lifetimes and planets like the Greys that have taken themselves out of their own evolutionary process, and they've become extinct. That's why they're using the human DNA, and humans have been a part of that program, and humans have been a part of the agreement of that program to help the Greys re-perpetuate its population, because they had gone into an extinction process. And this is where Earth was being a red flag, because many of the ideologies, church and state ideologies, and the church and state notions about who we are, what we exist, and what's going on with us were totally warped. It was a very misogynistic, a very imbalanced experience about the divine masculines kind of running the world, and there was very little offering of inclusivity of any energy. And that's where we're finding the imbalances that have to be fixed. It's quite blatant for all of us to see so. And so part of what had been teaching me about my soul integration and why I talk about the soul's fragments, and this is just an aspect of the soul, if you will, and it's reflecting on its ideologies of in another lifetime as a very traversing, star seed. If we say this is a young Commander Ashtar, and the young Commander Ashtar, one of its excitements was to travel throughout the multiverse and travel to all these different planets. And this one particular lifetime where it was put within a dysfunctional family, and it was a very abusive, dysfunctional family. There was alcoholism, there was fighting and arguing all the time. There was, a lot of poverty. And this boy basically had to survive on its own, and it's taking of its own inner strength, its own inner story. And this boy had to, basically survive on its own without anything on the outside being shown to it. And there's so many men on this planet that are coming into their own, and I want to celebrate you because there's a few of you that do watch me and you've kind of remained hidden because you're not feeling as confident in leadership in the new Earth Star energies, but I'm saying that you are. There are a couple of men that have very powerful energies, and I'm helping you work with your energy field. I'm helping you honor the balance and being okay and surrendering to the balance of divine feminine masculine energies within yourself, because then you only become more powerful within using the whole energy body that you are, the whole Merkaba, the whole fields, understanding the power of the emotional body, because that's how we manifest. We manifest through our emotional body, and if it's imbalanced and wounded, this is where we've been coming forward with certain aspects of my story. Those men that had not balanced their egos, they have not balanced their emotions, they have not balanced their childhood and woundings, they have not balanced any of their soul aspects, they're highly imbalanced and they continue to attack. Because their idea of fixing the situation is to dominate me, is to break me so that I can become just a tool and a toy for them. That's their ideology of fixing their reality, because I'm refusing to play a part of their story. I don't want to be a character in that story. I don't want to be a character in that reflection. And I can choose to. That's my soul's honor. This is where higher vibrational, higher dimensional energies and higher order energies within our universe is if it's a sovereign experience. My sovereign experience is I don't want to play that role for you. I get to choose. I don't want to play that character in your story. I'm not going to be subservient. So when I take myself out of it, they go back to their wounding behaviors and their cyclical and their pattern, because they're not healing that pattern of what is power to me. Well, this person feels like they've lost power because that person is no longer wanting to play in their story. So their next outlet of potential is to then bring in tactics and actions so that they're going to force that person to be back with them and keep forcing them and keep breaking them until they're broken. And this is where a lot of systematic abuse is, withholding of finances, withholding of love, withholding of emotions. It's a very toxic, covert experience of abuse. And it takes a long time for those victims to heal. So part of my story and part of my histories, and then they've gone even further by doing dark occult practices on top of the emotional and the psychological abuse that systematic abuse does and occurs in families, when they want to use the children as toys and tokens to sell back and forth between underground cults and covens for money and for insurance and for using them as testing and human targeting, which is, parts of all those stories that I've come from. And many of the children that are in trafficking that occur today, that they don't even know they're a part of these underground selling systems. And so there's a lot that has to be looked at. There's a lot that has to be fixed and corrected. There's a lot that has to be brought to the table and ironed out, because they're obviously not humane at all. They're just various aspects of enslavement, and that's how bad the reflection and the correlation that is power, and what is power, and how are groups and cults and systems of society using certain ideologies of dominance over others and control over, and human testing and human targeting, human experimenting, which is what began in the 1950s. Part of my earlier story is doing the human testing with celestial DNA and with other aspects of DNA so that they can create this ultra human, which has been done. I'm an ultra human, and it was intentional, but the mother and the father made it a higher vibrational story, because the mother-father story is always higher order than a 3D human. Because 3D humans had their intentions of all of these Area 51 agendas, whether it's MK Ultra, whether it's Project Stargate, and whatever other agendas and secret things that they think that they're doing that are so highly intelligent. And they're really not, because they're not in alignment of the higher order. The higher order is the highest order of intelligence. And so my celestial teams, because I am a higher order, because I am a part of Melchizedekian order, part of the Legions of Light, I'm part of the royal family, all of these things that I come with within my DNA, I'm part of Celestials, I'm part of Earth, all of these things that I'm a cluster of. I have the higher order teachings and the higher order knowledge. So when I was healing that timeline of being the Arcturian that was on the table of Area 51, and they were extracting my DNA, it was a very horrible experience because my soul saw that experience, whether they thought that I was dead or whether they thought anything, because at that level of consciousness, I know and I see everything, and I just take myself out of my body, which is what Jesus did at his crucifixion. It's just giving you an idea of how masterful you are when you're fully in alignment of your Merkaba, because you can take your consciousness out of the body so that you're not experiencing the pain. But I still had to experience and process the pain of that Arcturian being on the table, knowing that there was a breach of contract that had occurred. That being was under the impression from its family sending it here to the planet to be a part of the very first human celestial communication bridge building, and that being was very excited. That being was brought forward with the intentions to build communications of higher celestial beings with a lower vibrational intelligent planet. So it was very excited to be a part of something's first, and it was somewhat naive, if you will, and this is where some of the energies in my field and how I look and how I present myself, most of those that want to manipulate and take and you know, all of those beings that do very horrible things to people because they're disconnected, they don't have any Christ consciousness active within them. So they don't have any crystalline energy active within them. They're working from a very primordial reptilian brain. And so sometimes within the DNA projects that I deal with, the hybridization projects, this part of my goal and part of my mission is to educate people on the hybridized projects. There are many beings on the planet that are just very reptilian based, which means that they don't have any, if any at all, crystalline energy activated. So they don't have a lot of their heart space connected with any of their chakras. They live from a very primordial energy. And this is then, though, if they're acting and behaving from wounding, they're going to be very disconnected from conscience about what power is. They'll go and blow people away because they're getting in their way and they think that they're threatening them. They don't have any conscience about anything. So there is a wide range of DNA activations on our planet. That's the hybridized project, and the hybridization part of the Divine Father's plan is for me to come forward and teach about that. The crystalline children like myself that are here with a higher conscience, with a higher consciousness of who we are as God. Higher consciousness is higher threads of all the threads in creation that you are a part of, all the way up to the 13th dimension, just in this one universe. Your higher consciousness is know that I can thread myself in all the way up to the 13th dimension. I know I'm a part of all, so I can pull any of these consciousness energies down as intelligence, and I can start feeding it in storytelling about the stories. That's being higher consciousness, because I know I'm a part of all creation. I'm not cut off to one tiny little box to say, I'm just a Christian. Okay, well, that's just one tiny little speck of sand, then what? So again, we want to go to the highest level of umbrella. So the reason why I offer and I teach what I do is because I'm a higher consciousness being. There's no test that can test me on my intelligence, because it doesn't know who I am as a conduit. It's hard for me to even explain what a conduit is, let alone you know, having somebody test, you know, having somebody test on what a conduit is. And having tested the intelligence of anything put before me, and I can read the energy of it, and how is that going to assist those that are going to listen 2 years from now? So everything that I say is coded. Everything that I say is Christ conscious. Everything I say is about a certain level of understanding in the fluidity of light of the source creator, of the consciousness of the source. And in any given moment, we're operating and allowing through the 3 A's and the 3 E's, which I want to talk about today, and how that allows you to become a higher consciousness being, so that whatever is placed before you, whether it's a circumstance, a place, or a person, any energy that's being reflected back to you in the micro macro, and the micro macro is just another word of saying the omnipresent. And what is another word of the omnipresent? It's the holographic reality. What's another version of that? Source creator God. What is a version of that? The omnipotent. Everything is source creator sending itself back to you in your vibration. And source loves you so much so that source will even let you reflect how ugly you can be in domination and power and fear-based programs. So we'll go back to that story of that energy of me that was taken, that DNA strip that was taken from me in the Area 51 of the Arcturian being. I was a blue being, and I was Arcturian, and I loved who I was. I loved my family. The family from the Arcturian sent me here. There was 3 beings from the Arcturians that sent me here. I saw myself come in a light ship, And we were supposed to be building a communication and a bridge of communication for first contact in the 1950s with Eisenhower. Eisenhower took it upon himself to breach the contract of a communion, of a building of first contact between celestials and aliens, and building the bridge throughout the Galactic Federations, which is Commander Ashtar belongs to that. Commander Ashtar is also with us today. Thank you, Holy Commander Ashtar, and the Mother, Father, God speaking through me right now, and the Holy Lord Michael and all of the angelics. So if you wish to just open your body, heart, mind, and soul to any codes and activations for our celestials that are offering these higher vibrational wisdoms of some of the starseed stories upon your planet that come with very powerful missions. They come with very challenging missions. They come with very important soul records through which they can hop in and out of whatever time period that they have integrated. I've integrated that 1950s soul aspect, soul fragment. It was a very dark shadow through which I was being abused and I was being tested and I was being experimented on, and then I was being used for the benefit of corrupt people and corrupt agendas. And that's why I had to relive some of those human testing and human experimenting programs in this lifetime. Now that I'm in a divine feminine body, I still face the discriminations that Jesus did. I still face the discriminations of a social collective not seeing divine feminine in any other way other than being a porn star or a nurse maybe, and whatever the ideologies of a social collective divine feminine are. They're very small and limited, and it's very gender-based, if you will. It doesn't hold anything for our source creator or the infinite aspects of source creator. And so we wanted to bring forward a few of the stories, the multidimensional stories, multidimensional visions of what occurs when you do a soul fragment healing. If you do have your third eye opened and you're doing your ascension pathwork, you'll come forward with stories that are similar to mine, because you'll see that soul fragment, you'll get a vision, you'll get a download, and then you'll see that similar reflection of what's going on in your now reality. Because I was going through a now reality experience where I was finding out that they were testing on me, they were doing dark occult practices on me every day to see how much I could put up with the MK Ultra attacks, sabotaging, all of the systematic attacks of the slow dagger. It's all about testing and trying to deconstruct you, trying to deconstruct the spirit of who you are so that your sense of self breaks down so that you can be easily dominated, so that you can then become a weapon for the agendas. And that was the intention. The intention was to build an ultra-human to become a weapon or a minion of the agendas. And of course, that breached the contract of the intention of the Galactic Federations. The Galactic Federations had sent certain beings like myself to certain planets that need intelligence and need bridges built. So those planets that are in that red zone are brought forward and were brought higher intelligent beings, and then the contracts unfortunately got breached. And so they used part of my DNA to go into various projects like Project Stargate, which my DNA is now in alignment. Because my celestial teams and my healing teams do a lot of work with my gifts. And so that's just the makeup that I am, and that they've told me in my... You can just kick all these people off. Just know that their IP addresses are being watched. The Interpol is still logging all the people that sign on at once for their hate and their idiocy comments. They don't have any intention of learning. They're just distractions. Little viruses, little succubuses that distract. And their IP addresses are being watched and tracked. There's investigations going on for human rights abuses and all of the things that have been done on my timelines. And so part of that soul's lifetime was, just as this boy is now saying, that reflection of what is power, what were they taught and told about power, what were they taught and told about power in their lineage, what were they taught and told about power in their familial experiences. All of that is going into makeup the challenges that this star seed is moving about a planet where the social ideologies and the social teachings, even in education, church and state, are not as evolved. It's a very low vibrational consciousness. So these star seeds have to come and find it on their own, and they do a lot of inner navigation. They do a lot of inner reflection so that they can come forward in a higher version of consciousness of who they are, so that they don't have to surrender to low vibrational consciousness of church and state, and especially those that belong to dark practices and satanic practices, which is even lower vibrational. And that's why they do everything in secret, and that's why they do everything in the dark. And they think that they're being they think that they're being hidden in things, but they're not. They're just hiding who they are, and they're creating more karma, and they're creating more darkness for themselves. because dark practice equals a dark outcome. And so we're giving you these examples. Part of that lifetime that I came as, say, if this was the Arcturian version of me, I had to integrate that Arcturian experience, part of being a visionary and part of understanding it in the times of importance that I was here to also teach about, was the understanding of the dark occult abuses, energy abuses, systematic abuses, abuse of power, those that are in high elite positions, whether it's church and state or entertainment, and those that have had the power and the resources to use and abuse starseeds. All of those people that are here to be leaders and influences and have greater impact. And if they choose to come forward to be of that, then they're going to have to integrate a lot of the stories that I bring forward. I give you some of my visions. I give you some of the background information. I give you some of my soul's records so that you can understand how pathwork actually works. When I had a vision of being sent here by the Arcturians, because humanity was going to start looking at and seeking into the possibility and the potential for first contact. So there were various beings across the multiverse, across the galaxy, that wanted to be a part of this first landings, first contact experience. And there were many beings involved. And there's been celestials and aliens landing here since there was life on the planet. It was always been that way. It's always been the contract. So for anybody and any government to hide the fact that there's been celestial and alien communication, there's always been help. I was part of the first crew that landed as a Divine Feminine collective way back when, in the earliest of tribes, the Dogon. We used to teach parts of the Dogon tribes about growing foods and herbs and using them for medicinal practices and so on. So, I mean, a lot of these stories about our connections with our celestials go way back. And when you're a soul infused, you can bring those stories forward as a part of your now story, because it's part of it's part of my soul. It's my story. It's just like saying when I was 5 or 6. When you become integrated as a soul, that 5 or 6 year is no different than saying, well, I used to come here as a Pleiadian and help the Dogons. That's just being soul infused. I get to look at all my lifetimes that I've integrated. I get to look at the lifetimes that I kept separate as not me. It is me. They're all my soul fragments. So understanding and honoring the process of your soul fragment integration, the shadow aspects, the soul integration, the shadow aspects that I looked at from that Arcturian life was I had to accept, I had to 3A, because that's our alchemy. I had to accept, acknowledge, and allow that Arcturian life that I held so very sacred. Arcturians hold their spiritual evolution very, very sacred. They have a great sense of self-love. Arcturians, they're the grandfathers in our galaxy. They've been here in a grandfather state, if you will. There is so much wisdom held within the process and the intelligence and the healing potentials and capabilities of Arcturians that they hold within our galaxy, and the depth of the wisdoms and the power that self-love is and holds within our galaxy. And there's a lot of stories of wisdoms and histories from the Arcturians with ourselves in partnership with all other planets. So again, the Arcturians are like the grandfathers. And of course, the grandfathers have many grandchildren, many planets, many star systems that are a lot younger through their evolutionary process. So the Arcturians hold a lot of evolutionary stories that can help us. And so part of my being about the Arcturian planet and the Arcturian peoples, the Arcturians are very heavy in my DNA. The Arcturians are very heavy in my teaching and my teachership. They're my Melchizedekian order. They're a part of who I am. The Arcturians are very strong in my energy because I come from a long history of celestials. And so being a part of landing on Earth and being a part of building the bridge of communication, because I'm also a part of Ambassador of Peace and many other star systems with the star councils, it just seemed like a natural progression for me to be that. But they breached the contract. The Americans chose to breach the contract. They chose to make an ultra-human experience instead of building a bridge of communication for first contact in unity and oneness, and allowing the higher communications to be a part of unifying and allowing a greater expansive experience of order. They chose to take it into another direction of being ultra-human, which the Galactic Federations knew was a potential, because humanity is such a low vibrational maturity level. They're not connected with their heart space or their chakras. They don't have a connection of spirit, which is what I teach in all of my teachings and all of my 750 videos. We teach you how to align, which is your connection relationship with spirit, because if you did, then you wouldn't act and behave in the ways that we're acting and behaving since the beginning of time, since Jesus' crucifixion, since the 1950s, Eisenhower, and I'm just bringing these stories forward as a conclusive median of how people behave in the way they do, and how it's lower vibrational, how it's immature, how they're not evolved, and how it's each and every person's accountability not. These are stories that are true and real. These are stories that are occurring every day in our collective. Every single human is at a different level of consciousness. And what did we say consciousness was? How you are enmeshed as the creator, reviewing itself back, reflecting itself back as the creator. So the soul fragments. So the more that you're doing that soul fragment healing, understanding that you're one within the all, that your everyday now experiences are just other holographic mirrors, reflections of things that go on in other timelines. So you're here to integrate that and bring holism to it, and bring acceptance, acknowledgement, and allowance, and fully integrating those separations. And so part of the healing energy of that Arcturian life was that it took me about 3 days to heal that soul fragment, that Arcturian lifetime in the 1950s, because it was a very painful disappointment of my excitement to be a part of something so profound within the galaxy for humanity, Earth, which is one of the younger planets within the galaxy. It's also one of the densest, meaning that the consciousness is not very high, the intelligence is not very high. They're still operating from the same ideologies and theories of information, if you will, or education that are thousands of years old. There's been very little evolution, if you will, that could have been done if we had expanded, from the offerings of many masters like Jesus, along with many other masters that teach uniformity and unity consciousness. And the idea of creator being all that is, the omnipresent, the quantum understanding of what you put out is what you get back. These are all just basic laws of the universe. And if you're in a universal being, those universal laws are going to be prevalent in every day, because we're becoming more and more harmonized in a higher vibrational light encoding, and that's not going to stop. So Gaia is now moving into her evolutionary story. Part of her evolutionary story is that we must supersede and transcend the social conformities of our separation of ourselves within ourselves. Our galactic and celestial and star families have been kind of overseeing and assisting us in helping us play in the playground in higher vibrational ways, so that we're understanding what unity consciousness is, what we exist within, what's going on within us, that all of the things that we've created in 3D are only smaller umbrellas to the greater umbrella of who we are as source creator. Therefore, we can look at anything that is presented to us and see it from a highest perspective if we're aligned with our higher self and the sacred Trinity. You're aligned with the heavens, you're aligned with Gaia, you're aligned with your collective, and your higher self has its highest uniform mission, always in alignment, always doing your highest and your best, always heart-centered, always aligned for whatever it is that you're here to manifest, whatever it is you're here to explore, express, and experience for yourself, your 3 E's. Your higher self is always in that alignment. So if you align with your higher self in any moment, you're going to see those stories pull forward. You then get to look and view it in your now higher consciousness moment, as we said yesterday, and then you get to integrate that soul fragment, which is what I'm showing you in bits and pieces of what had happened in that Arcturian lifetime in that body. What was so powerfully painful was that I had such great, and this is mirrored in this lifetime, I had such great devotion and passion for assisting and helping humanity. I had a great passion for assisting and being a potential for humanity to transcend lower vibrational attitudes and lower vibrational information and education, if you will. And it was going to be a great bridge for humanity to step up into higher consciousness with the assistance of our celestial aliens and our friends, just like the Greys and the Pleiadians and the Syrians and the Arcturians. And I was a part of that first contact experience, but then the Americans chose to breach that contract and go in a different way, which we knew they would, because their energies were in such low ego. Their energies were looking at power like this. Well, if we could build an ultra-human from celestial DNA, and their celestials are so much wiser and smarter than us, then what if we build something that we can then weaponize? Because that's always been about the ego way, and about the wounded divine masculine is thinking that power means weaponization, and it truly doesn't. So we're going to be moving into an era over the next 10 years of divine masculines doing the healing, because they must. They will not evolve and go into 5D unless they heal. Healing the ideologies of what true power is, what being balanced is, understanding the divine feminine masculine energies is, who are they as a uniform universal being. And of course, it's always free will. If there are divine masculines that choose not to and continue wanting to only see themselves as divine masculine and be imbalanced, the light is still going to bathe the planet. The light will still bathe your body. The light will still bathe your aura. Your light will still bathe your DNA. And you will still have the everyday ascension awakenings. You'll still have the ascension symptoms. You'll still go through the ascension awakening process. You'll still have the dark night of the soul, because that's the ascension process. You can choose to fight it and deny it all you want, but you're still going to go through it. You're still going to have those dark nights of the soul. You're still going to have those opportunities to have that ego death, to be harmonized and surrender into your higher self and surrender into your spirit and your soul, which is your higher intelligence. The process of ascension is not going to stop just because you choose not to believe in it. The planet will be continued to be bathed in light. Your body as a matter, as an aspect of matter, and your spirit that is holding within all of your chakra systems, is holding within your DNA that's not activated yet. You are still within the universal experience of being a spirited being. You're just closed off and shut down as being a spiritual being. You're not spiritually evolved. And as we said earlier, there's nothing more important right now than your spiritual evolution, because you will not continue into the higher dimensions unless you choose with intention and all your heart, mind, body, and soul to be a spiritually evolved being. And you can choose not to, it's free will. You're still loved and accepted by God, the Mother, and the Father. Either way, it's your soul's purpose, it's your soul's choice, it's your soul's journey. But you will not come into a 5D body of higher vibrational consciousness that you have to have. You have to have consciousness of knowing how to navigate all the various energies of soul fragment healing. You have to understand your issues. You have to understand your woundings, your triggers, and how to heal it, and how to integrate it, and how to alchemize it. So all of those experiences offer you the reflection of what is the holographic reality. What is that showing you? There's an infinite number of earths, there's an infinite number of aspects of you, and they're all going to show you the mirrors of what's going on in this now moment, and how the story of this now moment is helping you integrate other soul fragments, as I gave you an example of that Arcturian. In this now moment, there was a lot of people that were human testing and doing dark occult practices and doing dark sabotages, and they were lying and they were creating false narratives. I mean, the things that were being done behind the scenes. It was all to keep me away from the aspects of who I really was, so that I was never going to seek into the true purpose of my own destiny, which is laughable. It's my destiny, it's my soul. I think I'm going to know what my destiny is. I think I'm going to step into it because I'm the one that actually communicates with God. I'm the one harmonized with God. You're not. And again, that's the purpose and the power of your harmonization with your soul fragments, your harmonization and doing the soul pathwork. You're not going to be swayed by groups of 50 or 100 or 300 or 1,000 of satanic hate people that want to come on and rip your life apart because they're being paid by elites and church and state to never have you step into your purpose and never have anybody be anything more than somebody that wants to be dominated and somebody wants to be broken and somebody that wants to be controlled. And because I refuse to be any of those things, I'm going to step further into my purpose because I have the right. Because it is my universal birthright, and nothing on earth is going to stop that. Universal laws trump all. So I get the operation of the universe. I get the operation of the universal law, and I'm stepping within that because that's my higher order. That's my birthright. Nothing on earth is going to stop my higher birthright. And so it's understanding and honoring universal laws. You're a universal being. Who are you? What you exist in? What's going on within you? That's the daily pathwork. I'm giving you some examples of the visions that I receive as a seer, as a visions that I see as a conduit. I'm a higher vibrational teacher and master. I'm coming to teach you about the intricacies of soul fragment healing, how to be your own best healer, how to be your own best counselor, knowing that you are your own answer for every problem that you have within your life. It's you. You are the answer. Because what you've been taught, told, and shown is not it. This is not the version of who this boy wants to be. This boy chose something totally different, as we're talking about the example of Commander Ashtar. Commander Ashtar, one of the most powerful men in our galaxy and in this local universe that has intelligence beyond any reason. He's laughing right now. He gets very shy. He's a very humble man. And I always tease him like he's my big brother's friend, and I've always had a crush on him. So he knows that I crush on him all the time. So Commander Ashtar, because he's such a powerful being, and he understands what true power is, understanding the aspects of the shadow, but he can, make no mistake about it, if it's within the Father's plan and the Father has given authority and the Father has given order, that Commander Ashtar will act on whatever Commander Ashtar needs to act on. Because he knows that's his intelligence. He doesn't have to use power and guns and lasers, and he doesn't have to use the high-tech, vibrational things that they could use to show everybody else that they're powerful, because that's not the idea. Yeah. So Commander Ashtar, his intelligence is his wisdom. His intelligence is his inclusivity. He's a powerful leader. He's a powerful man because he includes everybody. He includes all of the beings that he meets across the universe. He understands the Father's plan inside and out. The Father puts forward, this is where we're going within this local universe. These are the densest parts of our galaxy. These are the densest parts of this universe. How can we bring them into greater light? That's what Commander Ashtar, that's what these celestials do. The higher vibrational celestials, they're excited to help all of creation advance and evolve as spiritual beings, as source creator beings. So there's nothing more important than getting in tune with, getting in alignment with you being a spiritual being and letting go of the lower umbrellas of church and state, because it's not who you are. They were just experiences of walking in, as we've talked about before, the many mansions or a mall. There's lots of different stores in the mall, and that's the ideologies of church and state. You can try different schools, you can try different educations, you can try different clothes, you can try different preferences, you can try different whatever it is you want to try. But it's not who you are. There's a grander umbrella. If you choose, it's still free will and you can choose not to. You can choose to stay unevolved. You can choose to not expand your beliefs. You can choose to not love yourself. You can choose to stay in your wounding. As many of these groups that have been attacking me, many of them will choose to stay. And no matter how many times they get karma, no matter how much their monies are cut off, no matter how many blocks and sabotages that they're being sent back in the same sabotaging that they're doing to others, no matter what it is that they get back, they will not stop being hateful. That's just their choice. And God will have to, and the legions will have to shift and move them out, because it's not going to stop any of us that want to be on our path and want to be loving and want to be our highest and our best, that want to be the highest version of us as the dodecahedron, as the all aspects of source. I get to, that's my universal birthright. So guess who's going to get moved? You're going to go sit on your earth, which is extinction, and I'm going to move into mine, which is eternal life. Bye. Thanks for the co-creation. See ya. But you're not going to dominate me. You're not going to break me. You're not going to have me as your little bow thing where you can put your feet on me and you can use me as your harvesting agent or ask me to bend over when you want to get your dick out. Because it ain't about life anymore. You're not going to break me. You're not going to use me. You're not going to harvest me. And the programs on the earth have been utterly disrespectful to life itself. And we have to look at it and we have to face that shadow. What have we done to Gaia? What have we done to her resources? What have we done to the waters? How is it that it's okay that we're pumping chemicals into our air that falls down in the water droplets and hits the oceans and then turns into our drinking water? We have to look at everything that we do and we have to spiritually ask ourselves, is this the highest version of our intelligence? Yes or no? Can we be higher intelligent and have inclusivity and unity and oneness and harmony and love and peace and have it to be the highest intelligence of a new planet that is of new Earth star? It is shining and it is inclusive and it is unified and it is one. There's nothing more important than our spiritual evolution. How do we evolve? I show you the 3 E's, and the 4th E is evolution. You have to know your alchemy, the 3 A's. Your 4th A is the alchemy. Are you acknowledging yourself as all aspects of creation? Are you acknowledging there's an infinite number of religions and that's just a speck? There's a bigger umbrella. Then what? Everything is the infinity. You get to alchemize all of it if you so choose. If you don't choose, you also don't get to choose to take others with you down to hell. Because those are options of your options. You're not taking anybody else with you. You don't have the right. Domination, fear, and control programs are the lowest vibrational consciousness on our planet, and it needs to be faced. So some of the stories that I bring forward are very important for humanity's healing, like the Adam-Eve Project. That was a basic theme of humanity, to look at the divine feminine, the and how imbalanced it is, because now we're going into the 5D gates, and we have to, each and every one of us, look at who are we, what do we exist within, what's going on within us as far as the divine feminine masculine energies within. And I was one of the first ones, and I was the only one that was downloaded the Adam Eve Project. And I've got lots of videos on it. Go back and do my Ascension playlist. There's lots of videos that I have on the downloads and as the channeled information brought by the heavens in what we're experiencing right now, the importance of balancing our divine feminine masculine energies. And this boy is just giving you that story about a soul fragment. I'm giving you the story soul fragment about that Arcturian, because it was a soul fragment. It was very painful. It took me about 3 days. And it took me about 3 days to heal, and my Arcturian family came to surround me and assist me in that healing. So thank you, my Arcturian families. I got goosebumps everywhere. So it was a very painful soul fragment. Usually your most painful soul fragments come as you've been more adept at moving through soul fragment healing or dark nights of the soul. Just understand that ascension healing, when you're going through the process of awakening, when you're going through the process of integrating your soul fragments, of becoming more whole, your harder, more painful soul fragment healings will come as you get more masterful at it, at mastering your emotional body. So I show you how to do that. I show you how to do the alchemic process of becoming more soul infused so that you have 100% full activation of your Merkaba when that time comes. And so that soul fragment healing was very painful for me. It took about 3 days. And just know that because there's so much information out there and not all of it is true and accurate, you'll get the information of whatever you need, when you need it, how you need it. That's just the natural order of operation of the universe. You'll attract what you need. So if you're in a low vibrational conscious, you're going to attract low vibrational energies and entities around you. And you're going to probably process in karmic circles and circumstances because that's where you're choosing to remain your vibration. So just know that the dark nights of the soul, which are those aspects where you're looking at the ego. So this is this ego creation because it's been told by its church and state and it's told by its family. It's been shown by its social reality. It's been shown by its family. It's been shown by school and education that this is what power looks like. And the boy is saying, no, that's not what power looks like to me. I want to choose a new definition of power. So if we go back to that, the dark night of the soul, there's infinite dark nights of the soul. It just depends on what of that ego was playing a part in your life. So for a lot of men on the planet, they're looking at misogyny. A lot of these groups and underground groups and secret groups, they play a lot on misogyny because they want their idea of power, because they're not facing those wounds within them where their power was taken away from them, because they're not dealing with their childhood issues. They have childhood wounding, they have inner wounding, they had soul fragment wounding of where their power was taken away from them. So instead of healing it, they then go into ego on steroids, and they want to take the power from others. They want to dominate others. They want to break others. They want to feel as if they're powerful over others, and that's going in the opposite direction. So again, it depends on where your consciousness level at, where's your intelligence level at. Are you acting from a wounding, or do you truly want to heal? Everybody has the opportunity in every moment to heal. I'm just giving you higher order, higher intelligence on what's truly going on and why you do what you do and why you manifest what you manifest. Everybody has the potential to heal. Going into private hate groups and going into private secret societies and Masonic warped groups where you're acting and you're interfering on others' lives, that is the opposite direction. And again, those are entropy practices. And go look up your quantum science. You're just going to get what you put in. There is an infinite number of ego deaths, dark nights of the soul. The more advanced you are as a soul, like myself, you're going to have lots of them. You're going to go through probably how many, Spirit, can you show me in the bucket of our collective experience right now in general? They're showing me about 50. They're showing me about 50 of beings similar to me that have had a lengthy soul experience, that they're going to have many, 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 many dark nights of the soul because they want to play a part of helping humanity heal at a higher collective level. Because I have had history, 988 timelines, 988 lifetimes that I've have processing to integrate, that means I have access to those timelines. That's a lot of experience. Those with experience can be the highest level of helpers and healers. This is where Commander Ashtar comes in, because Commander Ashtar loves the experience. He loves the 3 E's. Traveling and experiencing different cultures and being as inclusive and learning about different cultures and how can there be a bridge of unity and conformity. Even though you might not believe in the same things, you don't have to, but there does have to be a basic level of bridge building and respect. So that's why we put on our Performa on our blogspot, our Children's Crystalline blogspot, Working with Higher Dimensional Beings. Go and read that. It's a Performa that I wrote up through Commander Ashtar. The very basics and the outline of how to work with higher dimensional beings like myself. There's certain rules, and because the 1950s and the Eisenhower, various beings did breach contracts. Various beings did breach the rules and the obligations that we were going into co-creation with. And this is why I've been chosen again. I didn't know that coming in because I just did my Arcturian healing, I think, last summer. But I had been placed in initiation. Many of my tests have been alongside the leaders of the world, which I didn't know that because I am going to be in 5D leadership. So it's important for me that because of all the experiences that I've had, understanding soul fragment healing to an expert level, understanding the different variations of psyche woundings that the humans go through because of illogical, misinformed, misguided, fear control-based programs that humanity has been choosing to give its power to. Low vibrational leaders and leadership programs wanting to weaponize everything that they can and thinking that's power, and it's not, and walk the other way because they're walking themselves in entropy. But we have to become higher vibrational and higher intelligent. And this is why we're saying that down the road, there's not going to be ways that we can test being higher vibrational, because your consciousness is going to be so excited to play a part of all of its soul fragments. And this is why I'm able to tell the stories that I can, because I'm harmonized with those soul fragments. They're no longer separate from me. They're no longer sitting and wounding. So that part of that Arcturian lifetime was very important for me, because it helped me realize and understand the same testing and the same targeting that is going on now. The refusal of giving me my birth documents, and the hiding and the manipulations and the same games that were played in 1950s, with their secret agendas and their secret this and their secret that, and paying little minions and paying secret societies for attacks and paying secret societies to stalk, hack, and spy on me, and to keep every part of my life in this Truman Show obstacle type of sabotaging mess. And I'm the only one that's never being paid. I'm the only one that's being kept out in the cold while everybody's benefiting off exploiting me. And that's part about being ultra-human. Well, great, you're ultra-human, but what do you get for it? Nothing. You get abused and you get attacked and you get sold to little groups into the underground. Lucky fucking me. This has been a great ride. I'm so glad that I've served so many. So this is where a source creator said, okay, that's enough. They were meant to learn from me. They were meant to be guided by me, but they chose to go in the opposite direction, because they were so wounded in their misogyny. They were so wounded in their imbalances of divine masculine energies, because they had not looked at the healing of their power being taken away from them and their younger woundings. And then, therefore, then again, they go into debauchery programs. They go into debauchery trafficking, because they want to have that power over others. So this is where a lot of those woundings and a lot of the psyche experiences, a lot of psyche experiences of not being integrated move them into that opposite direction. And those stories are where you can read very quickly. It's like a ping when I see it as a seer, like a ping. You see the little stars. If somebody's standing in front of me, there's various stars that stand around the person, and each of these stars has a story of where their dominant energy is. So it's just like we showed you with this, right? This is the dominant energies. Wherever these energies are operating at, there's a story behind it, and you can see where the energy is, and you can begin to read it. So if there's a crime, if you will, a lot of the policing down the road and the Interpol investigations down the road will be at preventing crime, preventing harm, preventing murders, because you can go in and read the energy before it becomes, a crime, before people act on their abuses. Right? This is where we have to understand these secret societies and why they behave in the way they do. Are they being coached and are they being directed? Because many of them have been brainwashed and many of them have been mind scraped through the agendas and the programs of the elites, or the warped elites, or the warped mad scientists. And where are these programs coming from, and who are they, and who's paying for it? Where is the direction coming from? They have to be investigated. Because some of these beings and some of these people, because they're using dark occult practices like blood magic and root work, and they're using mind control, they're being told and they're being manipulated to go out and hurt people and bring people into pain and bring people into these manipulated situations, and manipulating their finances and manipulating their wills and their estates and manipulating this and this. There's no truth on any of it whatsoever. They're absolutely 100%. Everything that these secret societies and cults touch is nothing but lies and darkness. Because all they care about is the wound and the demon that they're feeding, because there's entities attached to them. They're called succubus entities. And those succubuses and those demons want to feed on whatever that wound is, whether it's jealousy or envy or greed or gluttony. That's where their importance of that entity is. And until they face that entity and heal it, that is where that continued energy will go. And it gets more and more dangerous. Because again, everything in our social collective is not healing things at the core of where the wound is. Right? This little boy is showing us, where's the core of that wounding? Well, the core wounding, his ego is showing him in his reality right now that there is a wounding about power and domination and fear and control. He wants to go out and he wants to be a balanced explorer of the universe, but there's a situation in his life where he has to look at his ego. He has to look at what he's manifested. This is not who he is. The idea of control and operation from fear and domination and dominating others and breaking a soul until they become your minion. How is that power and control? That's primordial. That's very vibrational. There's no connection with spirit whatsoever, and it's not intelligent. So there is an understanding on our planet, which we have to look at the wider, higher perspective, which I will be teaching on the planet because I'm a higher vibrational master. And I have the Mother Father's plan within me that I speak on and I channel however the Father wants me to speak on it. There is the hybridization project that planet Earth has been a part of, which means that every single human has a certain amount of activation in where they come from throughout the universe, how the soul of all that it is throughout the universe is coming to heal itself in a unified formation of oneness, wholeness, unity, consciousness. If, however, that human chooses not to move on the path of integration and unity consciousness, then it will remain in its lowest consciousness of however that DNA has been not activated in its primordial state. Now, because every child and every human is different in its DNA activation and how it has moved through its integration of wholeness, which means that every human has a different aspect and access. It says very, write it down. We're going to be talking about this in great lengths as we move into 5D social evolution. Every human has a different access, capacity, and aptitude for its Christed light, its Metatronic light, its crystalline light, its essence of spirit. Some have very low DNA evolutionary access to light, if any at all. Those are the ones that we see have very low conscience. They disconnect very quickly from their actions and their attitudes of hurting others because they act from a very low reptilian experience of the brain. They have not activated their consciousness. Their unity formity of all that is before you is God. You are one with the all and the all is one with you. It's a very low consciousness. And that's where a lot of these hate groups operate from. Black web, snuff videos, glorifying murder, glorifying snuff videos, paying for snuff videos, trafficking, those are all low primordial experiences. They don't care about the harm they do to others. They don't care and they don't understand karma. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. They just want to hurt. They just want to take and they just want to make money. They're very low consciousness beings. So there has to be a wider understanding and perspective of intelligence, how intelligence is truly measured. And it's not measured in numbers, and it's not measured in tests and IQ tests and all of those things. It's measured in your capacity of oneness and integrating your soul fragments so that you can access the higher operations of your DNA and your access to light. Your access to light is your access to the intelligence of all that you are as a harmonized soul, that you can see the aspects of all aspects of those before you. You can put yourself in other people's shoes. You can understand the various perspectives of the dodecahedron. You can understand the various aspects of your soul integration. I can give a story in any moment of any soul fragment that I've healed because I'm shown visions. I'm shown the stories. I'm shown the vibrational stories from various perspectives. I'm shown the various stories from the U.S. perspective. I'm shown the various stories of why I was included and what was included then and there because it continues in the now moment of here. Because there's stories of human testing going on now. There's stories of human targeting going on now. There's stories of human Hunger Games going on now. That's why that lifetime was so important for me to heal. Because if I didn't heal that lifetime, it wouldn't allow me to heal the magnitude of the cults and covens attacking me in the same experience now. Because I am an ultra human. I'm not like other people. That's okay. But can we all benefit from one another and can we accept one another anyways? And how is hating somebody and targeting someone and trying to take them out and trying to harvest their light and you think that you're going to get their gifts and skills, how is that in any way an act of intelligence? Because you're not going to get that person's gift because you don't have the activation of your DNA. If you see the stream of the DNA, I have a picture of it right here. If you see the stream of the DNA and a low vibrational primordial, the DNA allocation, it's like a thermometer, right? And the thermometer goes up and down. And every time you pull in light and you're doing your DNA integration, you're activating that codon. That codon right there activates and you put light on that codon with Source Creator God, your higher self, is bathed in light. That codon activates all of the energies in this boy's timeline, in the highest timeline that boy came to activate, because that boy wanted to heal the ideas of power. So in that codon, all of the gifts and skills and attributes of that codon activated, and they're now harmonizing in this soul's experience. I can tap into it. I can see it. I can feel it. I can tap into it. I can now pull on those energies. They're now active to me. I now have them to activate on. I don't got to go to a store. I don't got to take a course. They're now active within me because I've already earned it. That's already my lifetime. See what we're saying? So as you're doing the work and you're integrating, that codon becomes activated. Whatever that was in that codon, gifts, skills, talents, understanding, information, education, intelligence, whatever was in that codon, it's now active for you to use. You've already had that lifetime. It's already yours. You've already earned it. This code energy is not going to go to anybody that hasn't earned it. This person, if they haven't earned that consciousness level in their DNA, they cannot carry the consciousness gifts. Consciousness is aptitude and capacity. If this person does nothing but hurt, harm, and steal and rape and kill people, they don't have the consciousness. They don't have the capacity and aptitude to even carry an ounce of that codon. It's, again, there's such low information and there's no intelligence whatsoever on why people are doing what they're doing in dark occult practices. There's no uniformity in dark occult practices. Nobody's being informed of higher vibrational order of knowledge. Church and state are not the highest order of knowledge. That's why they've been attacking me and wanting me to be suppressed. They whatever their agendas are, I don't care what their agendas are. I have my rights to be who I am. I speak higher order. You cannot swap another person's gifts and skills and energy and 985 timelines if this person only here has only had 320 timelines. It's an absolute quantum mismatch. There is no way this person can carry the quantum consciousness. So it goes back to the very beginning. Who are you? What do you exist within and what exists within you? And why aren't you happy with being you? You have to reconnect with your sense of self. Because the only reason why any of these people do what they do, the only reason why any of these people sacrifice or use children as harvesting agents or want to take people's organs or get up on stage and harvest people's energy from the crowd because you want your 10 minutes of fame, or you're harvesting people that are light workers and you want to harvest their energy because they have powers and gifts and you want to be more powerful than them. There's a whole lot of ideologies that are warped because that ain't true power. You have no idea who you are. You have no sense of self. It goes back to the very core, who are you? What you exist within and what's going on within you, and I can bring it back around to whoever stands before me. 8 billion people can stand before me and I can say the same thing. Everything exists within the infinity of the holographic reality of the mother and the father you are in the image of. If your energies of divine feminine and divine masculine, of whatever soul fragments that are operating in your field that are not integrated, it will show in your now moment, and you will manifest stories, you will manifest experiences, you will manifest people, you will manifest karmic experiences until that wound is healed. And it's going to keep being karmic until you heal it with your higher consciousness of love, compassion, the 3 A's and 3 E's, and loving yourself as source, because that is the highest umbrella. So why not start there? It's free will, and because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different religions on our planet, it's up to everybody to navigate those lower umbrellas, because that's part of your spiritual evolution as well. You have to find out what fits for you. All of these are still okay, and they're all still perfect, and they're all still accepted as the umbrella of all that Source is. But you don't have to stay there, because there is a higher umbrella. There will always be a higher umbrella. There will always be a higher umbrella. Say it with me one more time. There will always be a higher umbrella. I am one with Source, the Mother and the Father, to infinite, to infinite, to infinite, to infinite. I am that I am, I am that I am. Say it one more time. There is always a higher umbrella. I am infinite with the Mother and the Father to infinite degrees of dimensions, of experiences, of realms, of universes. I am that I am. Why stay small? Why stay stuck in one box of one religion, of one book, of one rule? And we see where it has got us. Because things are so imbalanced, it has to be looked at, and it's going to be thrown quite pointedly at many, many people because they have refused to heed spirit in the higher order of stay out of people's way, stay out of people's lanes, and go heal yourself, because it's about you. If you're experiencing a lot of towers, it's because you're not healed and you're not heeding spirit. Everyone has a higher self, and that higher self is trying to guide you in the highest, smoothest, most pleasant possible way. Your higher self knows exactly what your mission is. Your higher self knows exactly where your wounds are. Your higher self knows exactly what can be coming for you if you choose to sit down and heal and heed spirit. You cannot force anybody with you. You cannot force anybody to stay with you. You cannot force anybody to be in your story. You cannot force manifest anyone. You cannot force dominate one. You cannot force abusing someone so much so that you think that that's the way to have somebody stay with you, is to abuse them and break them so that they are man-held under your thumb, so that they are handled under your thumb. All of these practices are the most abhorrent on the planet, in the galaxy, because Earth is one of the densest planets in our galaxy. And we have to heal these densities to become our highest light. Fear-based patterns, fear-based control issues, domination over others, and control in and of itself are the harmful, darkest vibrations on our existence. So in every way that patterns of fear, patterns of control, patterns of domination, patterns of hate and attacking and subjugating and sabotaging and suppressing, you two being paid by 3 certain sects of elite people and elite agendas to pay to silence me when I'm the person with the answers. I am the person with the rebalancing answers and the healing answers. Why will my platform not be opened up? That is extinction. Did you enjoy the book, Cool Gamer Boy? And this is one of the things I like about comics and the various characters in comics, because they're all aspects of our ego. They're all aspects of our journeys through time. And some of them have various aspects that we have to tap into to feel out who we are. That's why comic books are so, I read about 3 or 4 books a week. Because they're characters about how we can expand who we are within the all. We're all aspects of creation. We're all moving about our different stories, about our different plays. And we all want to play these various characters. We all want to see ourselves as the hero. We all want to see ourselves as the one that comes forward at the last minute and saves the day. You are the hero of your own journey. Nobody else can do it for you. You are the one that stands in your own truth. You are the one that stands in your own power. You are the one that can alchemize anything before you within you. So really don't take anything that you've seen in church's state as the end all. It's certainly, my God, it isn't. That is the lowest umbrella. There is higher umbrellas all the way up to the 13th dimension. 13 dimensions is what we're working with just in this one universe. There are 13 dimensions. So in 13 dimensions, 13 threads of vibration, 13 threads of experience. They have infinite aspects of you, 13 vibrational dimensions that you're here to explore. There's far more than just one version of a divine feminine that can be who she can be. I'm here to inspire every divine feminine on our planet. You are here with a divine soul blueprint with Mother and Father God, and only you have what you have within you. You only have the experiences within you. You have the soul of fragments within you. You have the gifts, the skills, and the talents that are only to you, only to you. So speak thy truth. Never, ever bow or surrender to the conformities of what is going on our planet right now, because it's the lowest. Yes, we're raising our consciousness. Yes, there's great things happening. Yes, we are awakening. But how we have treated sacred life, how divine feminine is nowhere to be found in anything of our social reality. It's not anywhere to be found in leadership. It's not anywhere to be found in intelligence. It's not anywhere to be found in divine healership. It's not anywhere to be found in anybody that is an orator on our planet. There is zero divine feminine in our collective right now, unless she's in the music industry or unless she's in the entertainment industry and she is projected to create themes of ideologies. Even there's usually contracts that are signed of what she can and cannot do, how she can and cannot wear her hair. And this is where the entertainment field is going to change, because there's infinite potentials within the creator field, within the intelligence field, within the creatorship field that is so dynamic and so expansive. And we haven't even tapped into one tiny, tiny little thread of it. So we shouldn't be hindering anybody at all. And the creative entertainment field is going to be higher order, and it's going to be higher intelligence, it's going to be higher integrity, because they're not going to be harvesting on any level. There has been, I'll bring up one experience that was brought up to me, I think, a while ago. I think it's called the Astro World. I think his name is Scott, Travis Scott. I was given a vision and I was given a download just before that had happened, because there was energies that were at play in that experience. And that is when I was first told about elite soul harvesting. It's unfortunate. I think there was, I don't know how many were killed in that experience. But there was energetic, when I tap into the energy of that experience, there was energies at play, and there were various people that were obviously in the understanding of what was going on, but it was something that got out of hand. So there's situations where the practices of what people do and what people are told, and we go back to obviously what's unfolding in our reality right now about Diddy. I don't tap into his energy at all. I don't like the energy. But when situations like that in the social collective come up, I'm asked to talk about it, to bring it up as a social collective. That is when that astral world was one of the very first weeks, I think, the very first month. I can't remember the videos, but it was one of the first streams and downloads that I got about elite soul harvesting. So a lot of these agendas that have come in, whether it's the Eisenhower back in the 1950s, whether it's elite soul harvesting, elite people, elite beings that practice certain practices of abusing energy, of thwarting energy, of warping energy, of intentions with energy, of intentions with using subscriber lists, of intentions of using viewer lists, of intentions of using audiences. It doesn't matter. We have to awaken by all being triggered. We're all being triggered right now to awaken to higher consciousness. There's nothing more important than our spiritual evolution right now. And what does that mean to evolve? We look at how we understand who we are. We are all energy, we are all spirit. And that spirit manifests matter. What do we exist within? We exist within the omnipresent that is all energy. It is quantum. It is quark-like. From the minor pulses to the major pulses, we manifest energy. How you intend, direct, and focus your energy is what you manifest. It's called your reality. It's called your co-creational reality. Go back to my videos. I talk about it all the time. Direction of your energy, your focus of your energy, your intention of your energy. Your intention is when you start to begin to create karma. Good karma or bad karma, that's what you create because you're an energy being within an energy universe. And if you don't follow universal laws, you're going to get into some trouble because you're going to see it come back to you really quickly. Now, why? Because we're in higher resonant light. Why? Because it's Gaia's authority and Gaia's soul blueprint and Gaia's sacred trinity to move in her uniform ascension journey. She will ascend. That is her soul's destiny, and no planet and no being and no collective will stop her. Gaia will ascend. And I'm a part of that ascension party. I'm a part of the party. I'm a part of the ground crew. That's part of my destiny, and I ain't going to stop. I know that. I'm walking people through the 5D gates, and I'm showing you how. So why is my platform suspended? Why is my platform shadow banned? Why do I have, every time I upload, go look at my picture yesterday. When I uploaded and clicked off, there was 320 viewers. When it got clicked onto my playlist, there was 45. So where did all the views go? Where are the views being pilfered to? YouTube. Why are the dates on my uploads being messed with? YouTube corruption. You're a billion-dollar company. Why can you not answer these questions? Don't worry, I'll see you in court. So in these experiences every day, we're allowing ourselves to see that there is nothing more higher, nothing more important than our spiritual evolution because you are all spiritual beings. That is the highest umbrella. You are a spiritual being. Whatever the lower vibration mall that you walk into and the store that you walk into is your belief system. And you can change it at any moment. You can go to the next store if you want to. And change your preferences if you want to. You can go in and walk down the hallway and have a moment where you're completely translateral, you're having a mature, responsible conversation, and you want to explore how you feel about someone of the same sex. And you can be responsible, and you can be mature, and you can allow those energies to move itself, and you can allow those energies to be fully in your body of who you are, and you can be mature about it and honoring your soul's expression and your experience and your exploration. Because you're a divine soul, you know who you are. There's nothing to hide. If you're in hiding, if you're in secret, there's something that is missing and you're suppressing yourself. Therefore, then there's wounding there. And again, we say, is that the highest intelligence? No judgment, but you're going to get what you're going to get back. Why? Because you're in the universe. And what is the universe? It's a quantum omni experience. It's the holographic experience. It's going to show you. Go watch some videos on quantum science. Go watch some videos on quantum theory. Go watch some videos on universal laws. Do your research. Be a spiritual being. I'm challenging you. I'm empowering you. I'm enhancing you. I'm inspiring you. Be a spiritual being, dear lighted ones. There's so much to know and to understand. Who are you? Have it all be okay. You get to find that right place for you. And you're not going to find that right place for you unless you're doing your 3 E's. Are you exploring yourself daily and what you exist within? Are you going to explore everything that's put before you in the right and honoring way so that you're going to come out with an answer that fits for you? Are you going to speak the voice of who you are? Because that's all that matters, is who are you as a spirit? I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about understanding and offering whatever I can about soul fragment healing so that you can come into your own visions. You can have the visions of who you are as a soul. And you can say, wow, I'm so glad that I had that vision. It's helping me manifest and it's helping me heal the very same similar situation I'm going through right now in this now timeline of other people human testing me and other people sabotaging me and other people wanting to take my voice away. And all of these things that are happening now is the same things that happened back in 1950s when I was an Arcturian, coming here to build a bridge for higher dimensional communication, higher dimensional learning. It's the same thing I did in the 50s. That was my mission back then. But it got thwarted. And I got my DNA ripped out of me, and it was a very painful experience because it didn't matter how many times that in this lifetime, in this Joanna body, in this Celeste body that I offered my highest vibrational healing, 700 videos just of this modern experience and 3 books, and doing every day, getting up and doing the work, every day getting up, moving the little wormies, every day getting up, helping wounded animals, every day getting up, giving free healings, every day that I get up and be me. It doesn't matter how much I give. There's still abuse, there's still sabotage, there's still nothing but false claims and false accusations, government programs, government agendas. I'm being thwarted left, right, and center, and nobody's given me a penny for anything that they're taking from me. And it's disappointing as fuck, because all you want to do and all the reason why you're here and every vibrational pulsation within you is to help. And that's why God will always lift me, and that's why God and I are so connected and enmeshed, because God sees that the energy I place for all of creation and the importance of sacred life is my breath. It matters to me how I play. And I get passionate and I throw out some curse words sometimes because there's nothing more frustrating and there's nothing more disappointing than somebody that has so much to share and somebody that is such a great healer, teacher, and leader, and you get suppressed to absolutely nothing. And you get thrown away as if you're a pack of dirt. And that's what these people intentioned. These people intended it, and they exploited it, and they glorified. They loved it when you were suffering. So seek people that want to see you raised. Seek those that magnetize and want to see you being lifted, that will protect you and honor you and support you. Not do spell work on you to never meet your highest. That will never allow you to be your highest because they're withholding funds on you and they're playing games of who's better and who's going to win over what. Or if they're doing spell work on you to be less than, if they're doing spell work on you to be glamour spell, if they're doing spell work on you to defame you on left, right, and center, because they don't want you to be your highest and your best. Stay away from those people, move away and get as far away as possible and keep walking. Those aren't your friends. Those are people that will suck the life out of you. That's why they're called succubuses. Because they want what you have. They don't want to do the work for themselves. They want to suck everything out of you. Vampires and leeches, karmic vampires and karmic leeches, they refuse to face who they are. And they have been taken over by demons, and they have been worked by their demons, and they're refusing to do the work. That's fine, that's their journey, but you don't have to put up with it. And you can say no and have the heavens come in and cut the cords, because they don't have the right to suck the life out of you while you're doing the work. And stand up and go to the authorities and speak of and log every situation of covert abuse, because it's dangerous and it's harmful. And it's not talked about on our planet. So psychiatrists and counselors and how to heal these psychic experiences, especially with the billion-dollar business that covert abuse is on our planet, because it is unfortunately a billion-dollar business of dark secret societies covert abusing every city on our planet. Covert abuse is in every city on our planet. White-collar crime is in every city on our planet. Children being lured into trafficking is on every city in our planet. This is how disconnected it has gotten because of the imbalances on our collective, and we have to face it. What is true power? It's not what you were taught, told, and shown. It isn't. It really isn't. True power is having that experience and that ideology. If this Commander Ashtar, and Commander Ashtar has the power to do anything and all things. Commander Ashtar has been given the information and the wisdoms and the divine understanding because of his experience. Experience is everything. I have a lot of experience, 980 some odd timelines. I have the experience from my Arcturian lifetime. I'm soul infused, I'm soul integrated, I do the work, that's experience. Therefore, that's then I can offer through a higher vibrational collective intelligence. I've been there, I've done that. I've done the work. I've got my dodecahedron. I do the work. I don't just speak to speak. I actually talk it and I walk it. That's true power. Because it doesn't take anything to kick over a building and block it off and blow it up. It doesn't take anything. It's just a button. It's just a piece of power of dynamite. It takes a lot more to create something when you've had people sit you down 100 times saying, no, shut up, we're going to suppress you. We don't want your teachings. We want to stay numb and dumb. We want to stay moved into extinction. We want to stay having other people control us. We want to stay just focusing on money and superficiality. We don't want to go down to the soul. Okay, well then you have your right to not ascend. You have your right to not evolve. You have your right to stay small. But there's a whole bunch of people in their souls, they're aching for evolution, and I've got that. And I'm going to offer it. That's my soul's evolution. That's my right. And I'm going to up, and I'm going to keep offering, and I'm going to keep teaching, even if I have nothing come to me that day, even if there's no donations, and even if nobody offers me a hand. I don't care. Because I didn't need anything in this realm to show me how precious and how important and how priceless I am. There is nobody on this planet that offers what I do. There's nobody on this planet that offers what I am. There's nobody that offers the healing that I am. And there never will be. I am the last of the breed that I am. There is no other like me. And that's why I'm guarded. That's why I'm safeguarded by the multiverse, because I offer light and I offer wisdoms and I offer experiences on every level, because I'm a conduit and I can read any level of these threads. And I offer my services through the multiverse, through the hybridized projects. I offer it through Commander Ashtar and the Galactic Federations, through the Star Councils. There are so many councils that I'm a part of. And this is not what power is. Anybody can pick up a gun and do whatever they want with. That's not power. That's being led, and that's being guided by wounded emotions, and the emotional body is wounded. We have to learn how to heal humanity. There's nothing more important right now than being spiritually evolved. And are you? Spiritually, evolution. Think about it and seek it out every day. Who are you? What is going on within you, and what do you exist within? True power is intelligence and wisdoms, and having the experience to know that you can navigate around anything no matter what is facing you. And if it's arrogance and ignorance and violence, you can navigate your way around it, because that is not power. It's low consciousness, it's wounding, it's fear, it's control, it's domination. That is not intelligent. And when you heal, you can speak about transcending, and you can speak about getting up, and you can speak about how hard it is. True power is in the getting up. That's where your power resides, dear lighted ones. It's in the getting up. It's no matter what is facing you, and no matter what church and state is, no matter what holographic image is facing you, you're going to get up and you're going to be exactly who you are. Because you have a different vision. You have a different perspective of what love and light and your earth is going to look like. And it's going to be creative, where you can bring all of your gifts and skills and you can be the highest version of you. And that higher self is going to download all the wisdoms and the skills and the information. And the next time you have an ascension cycle, you're going to bring in another soul fragment. You're going to say, wow, what visions are going to come to me from this soul fragment? What themes am I working on right now? I'm working on the theme of belonging. I'm working on the theme of self-love. I'm working on the theme of I can bring myself my own gifts. You don't need to wait for somebody else to do it for you or bring it to you. You are your highest gift. And as I wanted to say before, just before we close off, and then I'm going to go back to that vision Cluedo about the many earths, and we'll use this kind of as the vibrational threads here. And they want me to go back to the comment I made earlier about divine masculines. There are a couple of divine masculines that have been following me that have been in hiding. And we say that with casual respect. Because you're new on the path of awakening and ascension, and you have very great, powerful energies, and you're just learning how to awaken within your body of energy, and understanding that your emotional body is how you're here to heal, to be a master of your emotional body, because you have great energy that you can work with. And so we want to assist you in working with that. And part of that too is learning and understanding what is power to you, right? And bringing it into a higher vibrational understanding, higher vibrational consciousness, higher vibrational intelligence. And we want to thank you for that, for doing the healing and for attending our classes every day, or however often you wish. So there is a message for the divine masculines. Can you bring that thread back, please, Mother, Father? Commander Ashtar, please bring that thread back. Yes, for those of you that are working within the divine masculine experience for healing those aspects of you of mentorship that was not had in your younger years. In those years they're showing me some indigenous beings of the men collective. There are some indigenous beings that are looking to heal some of their lineage woundings, and for the perspectives of role models that were not had earlier in your lifetimes, that you have been shown, as we've just talked about. Joanna has given, and Celeste has given her experiences of the 1950s, of those that were in power then. The white collar people and leaders at the time were all basically white elder males. They're imbalanced, and they weren't showing the highest level of leadership qualities, if you will, because they were not higher intelligence. They were disconnected from their divine feminine masculine bodies. They were disconnected from their spirit, their higher self. That's why they chose the programs that they did, and we understand that. It's all part of your maturity. But now that those divine masculines are coming into, how shall we say, preemptive leadership, into higher dimensional leadership roles, and it's important that you are doing your work and looking and being exploratory, your 3 E's, with your creative passions, because it automatically helps you heal your emotional body. So we're very, very happy. We've seen great, I'm channeling this for the collective, men's collective, so it's not as intuitively fluid. So this is why I'm having to stop with my words. This is all divine masculine energy that I'm channeling. We see that you're very, you've been tapping into the creative body and your creative potentials. It is automatically assisting you in healing your emotional bodies. We thank you very much for doing so, for being tuned into what your creativities and your creative excitements are. Keep going, keep at it, keep going, keep at it. The divine masculines that have tuned in, that know they are on the path of awakening, that know they are becoming an awakened soul. You know who you are because you're getting that vibrational, spiritual confirmation in your body right now as Celeste is speaking with you. That it is important that you continue on your creative exploration, your 3 E's, and exploring all that you are as a creative being, and having the fluidity and the allowance and acceptance to redefine who you think you are as a divine masculine within a growing collective of higher consciousness experiences, because you will be a role model for other boys and younger adults that are looking for a very balanced divine masculine role model in their collective, which is very few and far between, that is not often sold as we just said, that it's not often sold as, you know, a power player with guns and doing things that are not truly powerful. But that's just how images are sold, right? That's how you sell a role model. That's how you sell images. It's all image selling. And so this is where we're changing in the creative collective as far as arts and entertainment. It's a field of light. It's a field of exploration. It's a field of infinite journeys. And it's going to go on an infinite number of detours. So we need role models that are going to step up into the infinite field of creativity. So this is where it's very important for those that are men to come forward and begin expressing the infinite ways that they are a creative impact and influence on their collectives. So we wanted to thank you very much, because they're saying, Commander Ashtar is saying, and Lord Sananda, thank you, Lord Sananda is with, thank you, Holy Spirit, thank you, Holy Spirit, thank you, Holy Spirit. Lord Sananda is with Commander Ashtar. And sorry, now Jesus is now stepping forward. Thank you, Holy Jesus. Thank you, Holy Brother. They're saying that many of the men that are stepping into preemptive leadership roles to work with Lord Sananda, to work with Archangel Michael, to work with galactic federations, to prepare Earth for first contact, there are aspects of you that have not had any divine masculine role models that you could mirror, in effect. And we say mirror very lightly, right? You know that when you come to our channel, we say things because they're the only human words that you have, but we don't want you to take it literally, because we don't want you to mirror anybody. We only want to say that you are a role model of impact and influence vibrationally, because you're setting a new vibrational image. As this is not what power is anymore. Power is somebody that can stand in who they are as a being and offer a very balanced divine feminine masculine energy and be very fluid in a higher vibrational understanding of what really is true intelligence. True intelligence is the highest level of creativity, of light and wisdom. And it's highly creative genius. Your emotional intelligence is highly intelligent. If you're not tapped into your emotional body, you cannot manifest, you cannot heal. So emotional intelligence is the highest intelligence, and it's highly creative, and it's highly intellectual, and it's highly colorful, it's highly harmonic. It's all based on harmonics and color and sound. So we're moving into higher vibrational role models of impact and influence. And you're doing a very good job, considering that many of you did not have any role models that were emulating anything to you in any way. So think of how powerful, very powerful way. In all of the vibrational experiences, if we're saying that this is a vibrational reality from 0 to 13 dimensions, and this is a side view, right? Because the bandwidths can be this wide, right? Like every one of these threads can be infinitely wide. As higher as you go, the more infinite it is, right? The higher you go, the more stretched out bandwidth it is, because it's a higher dimension. It's more refined light. So no matter what the dimension is that you're in, if you're placed on a planet and you have nobody around you but that which is imbalanced, aggressive, assertive, not balanced, if this is all your role models are, and this is all that this boy sees, can you imagine that when this boy actually becomes an adult, how that boy is going to see the world and the impact and influence that this one character has to give a more harmonic, peaceful, balanced, colorful, expansive, diverse, impactful experience of energy and vibrational potential to a collective that now looks to it? Because although this didn't have any role models around it except for this, can you imagine how powerful that this being is? This is where we go back to Commander Ashtar. I see him, and that he is a divine masculine to me that I always refer to, because I don't see very many divine masculines in the collective that are powerful in their ways of being a creative influence and impact. There are the ones that I've written about in my music thing. I wrote about a little while ago, the icons and mavericks. Most of them had unfortunately passed on because of drugs and being shot and all of those things, because again, there's agendas. But there are a few left that are still moving upon their creative pathway, and some of you do listen to my show, and we want to thank you very much for choosing your highest level of expansiveness to be the highest level of creative genius that you've chosen to be. We see within your heart space, we see within your solar plexus that you do have a very powerful, expansive path before you that you can choose to step onto, that you do every day, and you choose to be a powerful impact and influence, even though you had nothing of it of your own. And that takes such a powerful, powerful being. And all of the divine feminine, and as we see for divine feminine, that has been even more set back because there has been no divine feminine role models in our collective ever. We can maybe name 5 of them. If you're a divine feminine and you have been educated to any certain degree, it doesn't matter, but the more educated you are, have a bit more access to the divine feminine leaders that have been in our collective. But even so, even if you are an educated woman, there's still no divine feminines that are celebrated on a daily basis. They're not put out front, they're not on stage, they're not lifted, and they're not supported. In fact, they are quite opposite. They are attacked, they are sabotaged by groups of 50 or 100 or more. How sad is that? How sad is the mentality, and how sad is the disconnection that elites and even some government agendas have even supported and paid for it, for beautiful, innocent people and divine role models of such galactic magnitude, of such celestial universal magnitude, that they have come from and they have traversed the universe to come and be a leader for you, to give you higher dimensional, higher vibrational, even play at sometimes dark parodies so that you can look at your shadow and have it be completely okay for you to traverse any experience before you and be the genius that you are to come out and still get up and never ever be attacked for your creative expression. Because you get to be source in however you see the divine feminine and masculine within you. Because we don't know that anybody standing before us, maybe this is all that they saw in their childhood. Maybe all they saw was their mother maybe all they saw was their mother trying to survive on the $300 a month that she gets from government, while the government is sabotaging and suppressing her, while her ex-husband is doing covert abuse to have her never get up again because he's mad that she left him, because he was abusive, because he was playing in secret societies and he was playing in underground messes, and he was lying every day. And he was playing and hiding every day with many mates underneath the surface. So who wants to stay around for people that are lying to you left, right, and center and then blame you because you walk away from them? No, I think I'd rather be alone. I think I'd rather be homeless. And I think I'm going to stick with God. Thanks. Because I'm not playing a part of your story. Because this ain't who I'm going to be. That ain't true power to me. And if you tune into Commander Ashtar and you ask Lord Sananda and Jesus, and they're going to come forward and say, you are the very first ones of your kind, dear masculines, and dear feminines that are learning about a new divine masculine energy that they can now integrate. When I integrate my divine masculine energies, I go to Jesus and I go to Lord Sananda and I go to Commander Ashtar, because they're the energies that I want emulating within my energy field. Because there aren't really any on our planet that I've met and I've known. And that's just been the path of my ascension. I've had to be with very toxic people because it's part of my lineage to heal those very toxic Anunnakis that want to control and dominate and sell names back and forth and think that it's okay to put people in false marriages, even if they're teenagers and they're selling their children to be harvested and they're selling their children to be hexed and cursed and voodooed and root worked and blood worked and mirrored worked and jarred work, whatever kind of work you want to do to control and have them be their domination little token and toy, while they get to use all of their monies and they get to put them in inheritances and wills and insurances. Every way that you can be used and abused, I've been a part of it. And that's unfortunately been the role model that has been divine masculine in my energy field. So the only divine masculine that I can pull from, that I would want to be around, Lord Sananda, Lord Ashtar, and Lord Jesus. Because I haven't met really that many masculine that have presented themselves as an honest, transparent being that doesn't play games, that doesn't want anything from me, that doesn't want to harvest and play games and do spell work so that they can bind and take and rape and have my name and my energy and my ideas as their clout-chasing tools. Because they know what my lineage is, and they've done all the Akashic peering and steering and manipulating and monitoring, and they've gathered people and they've paid people into the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s to make sure that I'm constantly stalked, watched, and spied and hacked on and sabotaged until there's nothing left of my life and I give up. And unfortunately, that is the warped divine masculine energy on the planet, and I'm here to help heal it. Because I am translateral, I can shift from divine masculine to divine feminine. I'm a beautiful divine feminine goddess, and thus far, there hasn't been a divine masculine step forward in their glory. And one day, God will place that divine masculine before me, and that divine masculine will know who he is. He will be on his path of healing. He will never do a spell. He will never spell cast on me. He will never bring danger to me or my children, because he wants to feel puffy in the chest all on his own. And you have to ask yourself, is that what power means? I want to ask the governments and the leaders of the world that watch me, because you know you do. Is it powerful when you blow away a village and you kill 45 women and children at a school that are not doing anything but learning and teaching and trying to stay safe in a city where it's nothing but war-torn? And these men that direct the missiles, and these men that direct the guns, and these men that direct the warmongers back and forth the borders, that you were born in that last lifetime just on the other side of the border that you're bombing. I want to ask the leaders of the world, is this true power? I want to ask the leaders of the world, how powerful is it when you see children walking around today talking about guns and blowing people away? Is that true power, leaders? Are you intelligent leaders? Is it intelligent leaders to attack and to suppress and to keep small divine feminines and vibrational teachers, healers, and leaders that are on this planet to assist in moving into higher intelligence? And so that the only role models they see are the ones that they see in their third eye and their visions that are really teaching them about what balance is and what true power is, because there's none on our planet to be had. Because even the men in the church that stand there and say they're righteous, they're not. Because they're part of the ones paying the tiny little 2,000 subscriber YouTube playlist to have her silenced. And they wear robes and they wear pulpits and they say they're righteous and they're connected with God, and they're really not. The agendas and the things that they pay for and the voodoos they pay for and the hitmen that they pay for and the underground things that they pay for and they're involved with, they're such games that go on. And they think that that's power. It's wounding. It's nothing but wounding. So we celebrate every divine masculine that steps forward and challenges their ego and challenges what they've been taught, told, and shown about what power is. And we ask you, is it really? And for any divine masculine that's never had a role model, that hasn't looked abusive, that hasn't looked corrupt, that hasn't been a white-collar crime, saying that they are a leader, saying that they are a teacher, saying that they're of the people, and yet all they do is behind closed doors is throw rocks and hide their hands, and they lie about it, and they defame, and they falsify paperwork, and they falsify lies, and they falsify accusations just to make themselves look good, and they're refusing to look at who they are. Is that power? It's wounding. It's false. It's fake. And at some point, you will have a tower and you will manifest it all by yourself, because that's just the quantum laws of our universe. So get to know the universal laws, same message. Every divine masculine, every divine feminine that seeks the healing of the divine masculine energies, look at what truth is and how can you integrate something that is higher intelligence, and who are you? Can you be a higher impact and influence and show the children of tomorrow? It's okay for them to be exactly who they are, and their voice and their creative genius is far more than we can ever imagine. And the infinite number of earths that you belong to, on the infinite number of parallel realities, on every number of thread that you belong with, know that every day you get up, you're manifesting a different earth on a different thread. Why? Because your consciousness is different, because you're choosing to integrate all that you are at a high vibrational knowing of who you are. Because this isn't who you are anymore. That's an ego from a long timeline. It doesn't fit in our higher vibrational timelines. Compassion and caring. And every day that you wake up and Give yourself a new opportunity, Earth, to tap into. You're the one manifesting new Earth. And what does that new Earth look like for you? Are you going to be a leader of compassion and caring and unity and inclusivity like Commander Ashtar? The leader of legions and legions and legions that are uncountable. One of their motherships is as big as half of a country. That's powerful. And that light ship can disappear within a second, within a breath, and be across the other side of the galaxy just within a second. That's powerful. That's intelligence. They don't have to go from A to B to Z. They don't have to use fuel. They use consciousness. That is power. Commander Ashtar connect consciousness of every being on that ship. And if they want to be at Sector 9, G7 on the other side of the galaxy, that's where they'll be within a breath. You can't even count the seconds. Time doesn't matter. Time and space are not even there. That is power. That is Commander Ashtar. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I'm so in love with you, Commander Ashtar. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I love you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So they're just saying that I've done so much for creation, and thank you so much for bringing the stories of the multidimensional universes and the threads of vibration of all that is creation coming through and living through you. Why each and every one of you are the infinite threads of infinite creations. Bring your stories forward, dear lighted ones. Share, 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 share. Start yourself blogs. Start yourself a YouTube channel. Share your writing. Share your musings. Share your beautiful comics. Share your beautiful stories. Get out there and share who you are. You are the new role model of New Earth Star, and may you shine so brightly. May you bring your unique expression forward. You are a genius. You've had no role models to take you into 5D except the very few that God places before you that you are attracted and magnetized to. Make no mistake, these star seeds are important beings, and so too are you. They are placed here to inspire you of who the soul that you are as God, the Mother and the Father mirroring back to you your infinite potential. That is your highest order. Your highest order is your infinite potential. Start there. Please share who you are with creation. The 3 E's are so very important. That's how you activate your DNA. Your DNA is activated through your 3 E's is your 4th E. Let's say it together, dear lighted ones. You are here to explore all that you are as a divine being of the Mother and the Father, the infinite creativity. You are here to express all that you are for the infinite creativity of all that you are as the Mother and the Father, all universal realities. You are here to experience all that you are as all universal beings, as the Mother and the Father, the image of infinite, 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 which means that you will evolve eternally. You are moving into eternal life if you so choose. Will you choose the 5 E's? Will you choose to explore? Will you choose to express? Will you choose to experience? Will you choose to evolve? Will you choose eternal life? And we wish you this day, good day, dear lighted ones, and namaste. I love you so very much. May you move forward, and please share our videos, donations, booking sessions, collaborations. Please get in touch with me. I love you so very much. I love reading your soul's energy. Your soul is so happy to me, and I'm so happy, happy, happy for you, all that you have found yourself. I love you so very much, and we say namaste. Happy day, dear lighted ones. I love you.